we all have courage and bravery, and give a hand to the armed forces, our warriors. A select number of warriors are going to speak up here. Love to have them all, but a few are going to be up here and sharing their stories. The first one story is Sergeant Cassara. Are you here? Yep, you're here. Can you step up here, please? Daniel Cassara. Right up there. Don't eat his salad, okay? He's going to come back. Stand by. So, I'm going to let Sergeant Cassara talk in his own words after I give him a little bit of testimony to his time in the service. He was in the Department of Corrections in Illinois, and loan officer, but he was patriotic enough to join the National Guard. And believe it or not, they called him up after 2001, after 9/11. He was called up in the National Guards, California National Guard's 1st Battalion. Ran into real problems, severely injured when his vehicle flipped over after rolling or anti-tank mine in South Baghdad. Sergeant Cassara somehow is standing here tonight. He sustained bilateral fractures to his right tibia, fibula, shattered left tibia, shattered heel, ankle bones to his both feet, dislocated right hip. He went underway with 24 medical surgery. So he's still here. He also, despite all of that, patriotic for our country, he ran a campaign for the U.S. representative of the 52nd Congressional District in California during the 2008 election. He hopes to educate others by staying involved, and he said, I have a passion for people, and who can deny that? I give you Sergeant Cassara.
Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. Joe John, I really do appreciate you and all that you have done for men and women who have put on the uniform, past and present. I did not know I'd be up here, so I am truly winging it here. But I will say that this is an honor, not because I'm here, but because I am among greatness and some super duper true heroes, and the men and women that you know or don't know that have put on the uniform and that have done something that is above and beyond themselves. It's just something that for me is necessary to give them their flowers now, because without what they have done, and I'm not just talking about the Medal of Honor recipients, I'm not just talking about the colonel up here, I'm not talking about myself, I'm not talking about the people that are potentially at your table, but those who are still out there on the front lines, those who are coming back, those who have come back and struggle. They have done something that a very small percentage of Americans do, and that they have put up that right hand and they said, I will defend this country for each and every one of you. So if you don't understand what that means, talk to someone that's around you. Find out from them exactly what they have done to allow you to be in this place at this moment, in what they call, you know, the most beautiful city in the world, but figure out how you are being able to be here because of them. We are the true one percenters, the people that have decided to go in and put our lives on the line for people that we don't know, people we'll never meet, for our loved ones, for ourselves, for our family members, and so forth. So thank you again for just this opportunity, Joe John. Thank you to each and every one of you that has put on that uniform. Thank you for each and every one of you who supports those who have put on that uniform. To the spouses out there, thank you. You have put up with a lot of foolishness, and for that, you absolutely should be commended. So God bless you. Thank you for all that you've done, Congressman Issa. Thank you for being here. And for all of you who love this country, God bless you. God bless America. Thank you.
Our next wounded warrior is Marcus Christioli. Marcus, if you come up. Marcus joined the Marines. He seemed to have Marines all over the place. In 2005, at age 18, he served 11 years. He completed combat deployments in both Iraq and Afghanistan as a part of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. And during the first 4 years of his enlistment, he deployed 3 times to Iraq, serving with 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, Company C. He is in 29 Palms. In 2008, with dedication and perseverance, he re-enlisted and was assigned to the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, Company K. After arriving at Camp Pendleton, he'd be promoted to corporal and deployed to South Korea for joint operational training. After returning, he was deployed to combat for a 5th time in 2010 in Afghanistan. On the morning of October 9th, 2010, during a firefight with enemy forces, he stopped an improvised explosive. He stepped on an improvised explosive device, immediately lost his left leg above the knee. He was medevaced back to the States. And his journey of recovery was incredible. He was granted a return to active duty and was assigned to the 3rd Marine Air Wing, serving as a flight equipment technician. He then retired as a sergeant in June of 2016. After retirement, he'd spent years working with the San Diego Zoo and serving various roles in supporting wildlife conservation. And he then partnered with Global Conservation Force, where he would serve as an instructor training local rangers on anti-poaching operations in South Africa. In 2020, he got his degree in business management and now works for the truck telecommunication industry, assisting in the tribal broadcast connectivity program. He and his wife in Atlanta currently live in San Diego, raising their 6 kids.
Those of you who know me know I can have a conversation that carries on for days, so I'll definitely keep this short. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. Thank you so much for showing up at such a tremendous event on a day that we celebrate not just the armed forces, but those who support the men and women who take up the courage to serve this country. There are only three primary things that I wish to share with you tonight, and one is that resiliency is not a choice. Resiliency is a choice, it's not a condition. You don't wait to feel strong, you choose to stand back up even when it hurts. My second one is purpose can be found in the fight. In combat, we didn't fight because we hated what was in front of us, but because we loved what was behind us. The same sense of purpose still drives me today. And last but not least, gratitude turns a second choice. Gratitude turns a second chance into a calling. Without being allowed to survive not only my injuries in combat, but also be welcomed home to a great country where I had gentlemen like Willie Buell here, who served as a commanding officer for Wounded Warrior Battalion during the time of my recovery. I wouldn't be standing here today. So thank you guys again so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Gunnery Sergeant Paul McGuig, please. Here, yes? Oh. Gunnery Sergeant Paul McGuig. Huh? Okay. Gunnery Sergeant, I'm going to start off with a quote from Gunnery Sergeant Paul McGuigg's son. And I know you know it, but it bears repeating, sir. Yeah. The quality in my dad that I admire the most is his perseverance and energy. He never just stops to do anything. Even after his injuries, he's always active from dawn till dusk. I try to implement that in my own routine since I'm a college football player. I wish to be like my dad in that way. Never quit, give it all my everything, every day. Sebastian McQuigg, son. Please,
So my son graduated from college today. And for those of you that don't know, shortly after I was discharged from the hospital in 2006, I was awarded full custody of my son. He was 2.5 years old. So I was blown up. My jaw was shattered to about 8 pieces. I lost over 60% of my tongue. And I'm raising a 2.5-year-old ball of fire. So she's going to law enforcement. She has been accepted to the Laguna Beach Police Department. He starts the police academy next month. He wants to join the SWAT team. I told him he should be the booster because those guys don't get shot. They're up the fourth guy to the door. And he's big. He's played football. He's 6'5", 245 pounds. Yeah, he's probably the biggest guy in this room. And I couldn't be more proud of him. He's been by my side through all my recoveries, all my surgeries. I stopped counting surgeries at 100, and that was in 2007. I've had 3 surgeries already this year, and I have one more coming up in June. But it's an honor to be here in front of all of you, in front of heroes, warriors, Medal of Honor recipients. I'd like to thank Modrzejewski, the founder and president of RAW. And the Building America's Warriors was the nonprofit that facilitated my tongue being rebuilt. So without her dedication to the military and fellow warriors, I would not be talking up here. I still have 40% of my tongue, and I'd be eating through a tube. So Maggie, can you stand up, please? She's like my surrogate mother, and I will close by saying, God bless America, God bless combat veterans of Congress, and God bless all of you as well. Thank you.
Our next guest is another Marine, Gunnery Sergeant Tony Lino. He served 4 tours of duty in Iraq. All right. Gunnery Sergeant. Oh, didn't I say that? Hey, I'm in the senior service. I don't know if the job has all the time. He served 4 tours of duty in Iraq, wounded twice, And even with those disabilities, he continues to serve on active duty with the Marines. On one occasion, he and his weapons unit, they found a weapons cache with a large number of rocket-propelled grenades. They were going through the proper process of getting rid of them using remote stuff, but one went off. He got injured. He didn't stop. I can go on and on and on, but he's one of those guys who wants to serve this country and will do so even when he's injured. I won't go on beyond that, but
thank you guys for having me tonight. I also didn't know I was speaking, so I was an invite. I just want to thank everyone here, specifically, again, Maggie Lockridge and Dr. Larry Rifkin of Rebuilding America's Warriors. I want to thank all of you that are here as sponsors. I also want to thank everyone running for Congress, whether you're in the middle of your campaign or you're an established congressman. We appreciate everything that you guys have done for us and will continue to do for us. As a bomb tech, I share that in common with Mr. Issa. We're trying to thrive in unstable environments, and I would never want to run for politics. Even I wouldn't want to do that. But, I commend all of you for doing it, and I very much appreciate it. I appreciate this day. I appreciate that you folks are here to support us on these kinds of days, and, thank you for everything.
Sergeant Simon Sandoval. Hey, right in the middle of your meal, right? Terrible. We'll reheat it. So, you're looking at a man that, in Sergeant Simon Sandoval, stories of strength. 18 years serving the Marines. 18 years, multiple deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan, frontline battles, losing his mates, seeing them die, seeing them wounded, seeing them not coming back. Really difficult times. And after those 18 years, he ran into some real dark places because it was so horrific. But being the Marine that he is, Semper Fidelis, always be faithful. He kept fighting, and I'll let you tell the story real quickly.
Thank you. This is a big shock for me. I wasn't expecting this at all. In fact, I was telling my girlfriend that we're going to go come and enjoy a dinner, and I'm not speaking, so it's no big deal. We're going to enjoy the evening. But now that I'm up here, the reason that I'm here is because my Navy corpsman who saved my life is right back there at table 22. His name was Ivan Krimker. He's telling me to be quiet for that. No, but I'm going to tell a story, okay? Since I'm up here and I didn't know I was going to speak about this. Me and Ivan Krimker, I was a platoon sergeant with 1st Battalion 4th Marines, Alpha Raiders, during the Battle of Najaf, one of the largest cemeteries in the world. It was a very hard fight, pushing through that cemetery in 115, 120-degree weather, and we're loaded down with ammo, water, and ammunition the whole time that we're pushing through that cemetery. We're in a big fight against Magdad al-Sadr and the Mahdi militia during that big battle. And you know the history about that fight. Once we were able to push into the city, we were trying to get into a position, into a building where we could set up our platoon and patrol base or a location where we could defend ourselves from. The main effort of our company was in another building with one of my squads in there. And it was during the time that we were trying to get across a danger area of an alleyway. We get hit by an RPG round coming down the alleyway. And I was knocked about 5 feet into the street. During that gunfight, I remember myself being totally knocked out, or at least I couldn't hear it. It was ringing in my ear, and I was looking into the sky, and, with the stars right above me. And it was like the Star Wars scene with tracers going right above my head. So Doc comes out into the middle of the street, and he jumps on the top of my body. Yeah, so thanks, Doc. All right. Get emotional every time I tell that story. So, anyways, my Navy corpsman called me out here. Now you're speaking in a place I didn't think I was talking about. And, God bless America. God bless the service members that have given their lives and have been, wounded seriously. And my boy, Doc, I love you, right?
Now another Marine, Staff Sergeant Stephen Coleman. Okay, Staff Sergeant Conrad comes from a family devoted to military service, growing up with a father who served in Vietnam, a grandfather in World War II. He left for boot camp in October 2000, excelled as a Marine, and was promoted to the rank of Staff Sergeant with several years of service. Conrad also served in Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom, completing 4 combat deployments. During these deployments, Conrad suffered injuries from several blast incidents, as well as a Humvee accident. Despite his injuries, he continued to serve in combat, enduring great physical and mental pain until he was transferred to the Wounded Warrior Battalion at Camp Pendleton for treatment. He was diagnosed with a number of serious injuries. After 12 years and 8 months of dedicated service, he was medically retired from the military. He was awarded, of course, the Purple Heart, Marine Corps Commendation Medal, and other things. Since retiring, he and his wife Melissa have dedicated their lives to helping veterans. He works to inspire fellow veterans to reach out for support and the care they need. They're a great family, and God bless you, Sergeant.
Well, just like everybody else, didn't know I was going to get here to speak. So I'll keep it short. I appreciate everybody and everything that you've done, especially my brothers and sisters that served in the military alongside of me. Alongside of me, or sharing the same positions that we're in. I just appreciate everything. I love the Marine Corps. I love my time in it. I wouldn't take anything back. I miss everybody who was in it. So if you have somebody who is close to you that you served with, don't take that for granted. Actually just go in there and just be their friend and just be there for them during any time of need. Thank you very much.
Final Wounded Warrior is a Navy corpsman, but it's a misnomer. There are no Navy corpsmen. They're Marine Corps corpsmen, okay? They hump with them, they train with them, they march with them, they're in the battle with them. God bless the Navy corpsmen, and we have one here. Navy corpsman, where are you? Ivan?
Warm it up.
As I mentioned, they're really Marines, and to prove that, in 2004, Hospital Corpsman Ivan Kripker deployed with Battalion Landing Team 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. So he deployed with the Marine as corpsmen do. On August the 25th, this gentleman, this corpsman, during a battle in Najaf, your platoon, Ivan's platoon, found himself pinned down by a heavy machine gun sniper and rocket-propelled grenades, firing. During the firefight, an RPG exploded next to Ivan, knocking him unconscious and wounding his platoon sergeant. When he regained his consciousness, this corpsman, Ivan, threw himself on top of his injured platoon sergeant, protecting the sergeant from further injury. That's what corpsmen do, that's what patriots do. Please share your thoughts. Corpsman Ivan.
Hello, good evening. First of all, I want to thank God, and I want to thank you, all of you, for inviting us here today. Second, I want to tell that I actually tripped over Staff Sergeant. Nobody knows that, but I went with it. So it's just, they asked me to be short, so I'm going to be very, very short. I was born overseas. And I didn't have the privilege of being born here, but I had the privilege of being able to see the difference between living in this country and living somewhere else. And I feel incredibly privileged to be here today around so many patriotic people, and my staff sergeant right there that's alive today. And really, that's all I gotta say. I'm just incredibly thankful to you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We're going to change the pace a little bit now. I taught American government for 15 years in college. And if you want a semester in about 10 seconds, it's politics. Poly means many. Ticks are blood-sucking insects. And our mission as Americans is stop electing ticks. And I'd like to introduce one who is not a tick. So, our first speaker is Congressman Darrell Issa. He served in the Army, rose to the rank of captain, now serves the 50th District in Congress, in California, in Congress. He's been endorsed by Congress for Congress. He's chaired the Oversight Committee. He's done a lot of other things. In serving, let's see, he changed districts. I guess there's renumbering stuff going on. And he cares about our country. Congressman, would you join us, please?
Colonel, that's been bugging me all night. Well, first, thank you for getting it right, because I'm back in the 48. That's California for it. It was 48, 49, 50, and 48. I thought I was going to get keep going up in numbers, but no joy. Colonel Rob Simmons, would you stand up, please? This old coot and I came into Congress together in 2001. He served active duty 65 to 68, and then we actually don't know how long he spent with the CIA. It's probably classified. Yeah, I don't want you to have to kill me. It's been a long time, and it's been an honor to serve. But the greatest honor I ever had was from 1970 on, serving in the United States Army. And by the way, for my EOD brethren there, going through EOD school at the Naval Facility in Indian Head, Maryland, with Marines. Matter of fact, my whole career, I haven't been able to get away from Marines. It sat me with the Marine tonight. When I went through Armor Basic, I figured, I'm safe. How'd that could happen? Who was my roommate? Marine. Then I went to motor officer school, same Marine. Now the Marines have turned in 400 tanks. They claim they're not going to need them anymore, but that's bullshit. The next time the shit hits the fan in the wrong place, they'll be digging those things back up and using them like usual. That's what it is to be an armor officer. You appreciate that they keep saying that heavy armor is gone. As a matter of fact, as a freshman congressman, Secretary Rumsfeld came in to brief us on how he was going to make the military lighter, faster, more nimble, and he was going to do so by getting rid of all our heavy armor. That lasted about a year into the war. What you saw here tonight were so many wounded warriors, and most of them wounded because of those improvised explosive devices. Those devices have become half of all the casualties of war, eclipsing snipers and eclipsing so many other weapons that we counted on, because it turns out that sneaking in at night and planting massive amounts of explosives and then tricky ways of setting them off is a very effective way, because you either kill them or you injure them in a way in which so many for the next weeks, months, or years spend their time on helping those who have been wounded. It's one of the oldest tricks of war. It's better to wound than to kill. For the Vietnam veterans, it was toe poppers and other clandestine weapons. We've seen it for decades. As we speak, we are not involved in direct war in Ukraine, but the Ukrainians have gone to know that there's a new weapon that is going to be more lethal than the IED, and it's the drone. Drones are now the #1 killers on both sides of that battlefield. Literally tens of thousands of drones being launched a month. Tens of thousands of drones being produced a month. We don't produce that many. We don't have a couple of $100 or a few $1,000 drone. Our drones cost millions. As we speak, the military has nominally the same amount of money this year as it had last year if the budget goes through. And they're going to have to find ways to have the military reinvent itself to deal with drone warfare. Now, at the beginning of Top Gun 2, they talked about the drone ranger and made a little bit of fun of the difference between the man in the cockpit, the pilot, and the drone. But the drone is not the nemesis right now of the fighter jet. The drone is the nemesis of the infantryman, of the soldier, the sailor, the Marine, if they're on the ground, because in fact it is a quick and lethal force that is almost undetectable in many cases. And we haven't even yet seen drones swarming the way we clearly will. And the reason I know we will is I watched the Olympics. I watched the Chinese. They already know how to swarm hundreds or thousands of drones in unison or in completely different patterns. That is the war of the future. But I want to just take a few moments to talk about what doesn't change. Stanley McChrystal, General McChrystal, said something very profound. He said, they asked him about the military budget recently, and he said, patriotism isn't how much you spend. So don't be looking at the size of the budget. Be looking at the patriotism of those who will support the military in every way and those who will answer the call. And I thought for Stanley that was pretty smart, because the future for this country is about patriotism. It's about, will we continue to stand for what we've always stood for most of our 250 years? Will we stand for freedom? Will we stand for people both here and around the world living in freedom? From Jefferson's time on,
we have been willing to send our soldiers, sailors, Marines, and later after Jefferson Airmen into harm's way, often for others, and usually with no desire for anything, with the possible exception of a place to bury our dead. That's who we are. Now, we're honored to be here with 2 Medal of Honor recipients. If Colonel Vargas was up here, I suspect he would talk about, with great humility, I know he would because I've heard you talk before, Jay, about valor. And valor isn't something you wear around your neck. It's something in here. Our military has that valor. This morning I started the day sending off another round of cadets to the academies. Every year at the academy send-off, I ask each one of those young men and women to get up and just introduce themselves, their parents, and talk a little bit about why they're heading off to the academy. And what you see is the future, and the future is bright for our military. Those people will lead. Those people will be people of patriotism, of honor, and of valor. Now, tonight, as we honor wounded warriors and combat veterans, I think the most important thing we do is ask the other side of the question. Does patriotism end? Does valor end at the end of somebody's service? Or tonight, are we really talking about patriotism and valor in how we treat people when they come home for a lifetime? And how we deal with those who can no longer fight for our country, who can no longer, even in some cases, get up and stand for the national anthem? Are we that nation? Now, Rob, you were already gone when our current Secretary of Veterans Affairs came. But we've given Doug Collins, former Colonel Collins, we've given him the job of reinventing the VA, of making it not about old coots like me, but about people who have served and who have been injured and who need the care that is specialized or should be specialized at the VA. And that's his challenge. Thank you. Well, Pete Hegseth is reinventing the military to make it do more with the same amount of money, have more tooth and less tail. Doug Collins has a mandate to put our soldiers, sailors, and Marines who have served and who need our help first, and to make it efficient. And he has a goal to look and say, can another hospital do the job equally well for somebody who has maybe just heart conditions or some other disease? And will money get them the best care as close to home as possible? But for those who need special care, those who have lost limbs, those who do not feel where they should feel or feel where they shouldn't feel, do we have the research and the hospitals to take care of them in a way that is world class? So those are some of the things that are going on as we speak. Obviously, for everyone here tonight, we also know that although we have special operators all over the world tonight in harm's way, some who might die tonight, and we have missions supporting people who are dying in real wars. At any moment, that 911 call, that 911 call, if you will, might happen, and people will be back in harm's way from this military. So I want to thank all of you for being here tonight, to think about those who can no longer, honor those who have been with us and for us, and most importantly, in the way of quiet patriots, support what America stands for in the past, the present, and if tomorrow needed, in the future. Thank you, and God bless.
All I can say to that is amen. Our next speaker is also somebody who's interested in politics and working at getting rid of them. Katie Zacharias, a legal and professional strategist, currently serving as the senior advisor for Fix California. She has extensive experience in political advocacy, international corporate law, and nonprofit work, including outside counsel for the World Bank and the IFC in Beijing. She's a double alumna of Costas Law School and Seaver College at Pepperdine University. She's also clerked for a federal judge and worked for various political campaigns, including the current efforts for President Trump's 2024 campaign in the swing states. Welcome, Katie. Thank you for joining us.
Wow, it's such a privilege to be here. I look around and I think about the fact that a Fix California title among combat veterans and wounded warriors. What are we doing in California that deserves to be here? So what I would say is we're metaphorically fighting in the combat zone of California. I have the privilege of working with Ambassador Rick Grinnell. He's one of my heroes and one of my dear friends. And he had the initiative, the bold vision, as many heroes do, of saying what is broken and what is everyone running from and how am I going to fix this? So as the conservatives were running from the state of California, taking their money and fleeing to Florida, fleeing to Texas, he said, we are going to fix California. And I love that, right? As a daughter of a dad who was in the Navy in Vietnam, and growing up to Rush Limbaugh every day on the radio, in California, yes, I feel that I was bred for being in a state and holding the line and saying, we are not going to allow any more of California to be given away to the woke, crazy, radical left Democrats. As we look around the state, we see a $1.6 trillion deficit if you look at unrealized liabilities. That's $1.6 trillion. We have a $250 billion wildfire destruction from something that was actually preventable. You have $128 billion on the train to nowhere, right? Gavin Newsom has now turned the clock back and said, oh, well, maybe giving health care to illegal immigrants wasn't such a great idea after $24 billion was spent and he asked for a $3.4 billion loan from the federal government. We have a lot to fix, don't we, in California? And yes, we do. But I will say that the Los Angeles right now after the fires, we are ready for a change. The people who are no longer willing to get political or who wanted to stay neutral lost their homes, again, in something that was preventable. President Trump went to a paradise and spoke to Gavin Newsom in 2018, and as many of you know this, and he said, you need to start implementing deforestation measures and filling your reservoirs. You need to open the waterways, and you need to start preventing this, or you're going to have wildfires ravage your state. Well, guess what happened? The devastating wildfires, not just in the Pacific Palisades, but in Altadena and Pasadena. And we are now at this point where we can completely change California because people are ready to get political, right? They realize that staying on the sidelines and being quiet is not an option any longer. So we see flipping Los Angeles is actually something we could do. Former Speaker Newt Gingrich said, I don't know why a few billionaires don't get together and just flip Los Angeles County, right? If you flip Los Angeles County, you flip California. This is easy. Well, I wish it was that easy, but it takes money and investment and time and a strategy. So what Rick did is he looked at the Ohio and Florida, which are now guaranteed for us, deep red states, right? We feel like these are our stronghold states. And he said, what did they do? What did they do in Ohio and Florida? Well, they did digital voter registration. It wasn't just all of the conservatives fleeing from California to Florida. It was actually a targeted approach. So we uncovered through President Trump came out and raised in 2019 and Mrs. Trump in 2020, or vice versa, one or the other. And we raised enough money to do an initial data dig, and I'm gonna give you a number that is very exciting. We uncovered 1.4 million unregistered conservatives in the state of California. So 1.4 million people are sitting on the sidelines not participating in our elections. And we know they're conservative. Why? Because the digital algorithm takes all of the publicly available data. Do they drive a truck? Do they own a gun? Do they go to church? Do they talk on their online social media about disliking Gavin Newsom? And they run that across the voter database, and we have 1.4 million. So Rick has been aggressively running around the state of California, raising money for this initiative. We brought it down from $15 a voter to about $6.32. He likes to be very specific. $6.32 a voter. And we were able to raise, we were in tandem working with President Trump and not taking away his momentum in fundraising efforts. So last year was a little bit more tricky. However, we were able to raise about register 200,000 new voters that went out and participated in this last election in 2024. That's historic, right? And we know that was our work because the data shows it. The data shows the area where we have the new registered voters and that they went out and voted. So this actually impacted key counties, and we are confident that we can continue this momentum with the right support. Now, what we are interested in is getting these common sense policies back in our state. We want our children's school systems to be protected. We want parental rights for those children, right? I have my kids, I don't know how many of them made it so far, but here's my daughter and my son back there. I have 4 kids and my husband graciously holding down. And I don't want to have to leave California because it's so broken, right? The reality is that they're in a private Christian school because I can't put them in a public school and because of what's happening, but that shouldn't be the case. And for people that don't have the ability to put their kids in a private school, we need to be fighting for our school systems to be normal and common sense. And so us together with Fix California and now with Assemblyman Carl DeMaio with his voter ID initiative that he's running. So that is in line with, yes, exactly. That's in line with President Trump's proof of citizenship that he's going after. We're going to try to do that for statewide elections. This is a 70% issue. So if you take voter ID, you take registering new voters, and finally, this is what Darrell Issa is doing with Judicial Watch. Congressman, they have sued on AB 37, which allows the 7-day voting window. So it's the voting week that the president always talks about. This is not a voting week, this is a voting day, right? In California, we have 7 days where you can receive and count ballots after election day. That, as long as they're postmarked. But that happens to be all swinging up for one party, and it's not our party, or not my party. So we could have won potentially Michelle Steele's seat. We had Duarte and we lost Mike Garcia. And you can see a very statistical clear line after election day. There was a win and then there was a loss. And so if we can get these 3 things, and I know it seems insurmountable, but I tell you, nothing is insurmountable, and it's only insurmountable if we decide that we're going to give up on it, if we walk away from it. I feel with all the courageous people in this room that have literally walked into much bigger battles and much more direct fight, that we can take back California, because we have to bring the battle to them. This is their stronghold, right? This is the place where they bring out all their crazy policies and think that they can transfer this to the rest of the country. And it's not, and it can't work anymore. We have to say, this is where you stop. And it's so interesting that I'm getting to say this with Barry Goldwater Jr. because my very favorite speech by Ronald Reagan was when he was campaigning for your dad in 1964 in Los Angeles. So once upon a time, we had Ronald Reagan, and this state was an amazing state, a golden state. And one of the things that he said during that speech, this speech is very, very incredible. If you haven't listened to it, it's called A Time for Choosing. and I think it pertains to all of us every day in our life to choose to fight. But what he said, and it so pertains to California, is he said towards the end, "You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay. There is a point which they must not advance." And I left this part in there. He said, and this is the meaning of the phrase of Barry Goldwater's Peace Through Strength. Winston Churchill said, "The destiny of man is not measured in material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn we're spirits, not animals." And he said, there's something going on in time and space, and beyond time and space, which whether we like it or not, spells duty. I love this. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness. And I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that California can give hope to this nation. If we flip California, think about what the rest of the nation thinks. Oh my goodness, if California can be flipped, everything is fair game from here on out. And we can bring back common sense to the United States through California. So thank you very much, and God bless you.
Another amen. Our next speaker doesn't need much of an introduction. His family seems to be full of non-ticks. And Congressman Barry Goldwater, co-founder of the Combat Veterans for Congress PAC. He's got a few things to share and a few people to introduce. And it should be fun.
My name is Barry Goldwater. I'm here tonight because my agent, I hired a new agent, and my agent said it would be important for my career that I be here. I've got to learn to be comfortable speaking with a group of people. I asked her, I said, well, what should I talk about? And she said, well, talk about your career. And I said, well, I'm a politician. She said, well, talk about politics. I said, well, but I lost my last election. She said, well, talk about being a loser. I fired my agent because I don't like to talk about negative things. I like to talk about new ideas and new things and positive attitudes. Which brings me to talk about my good friend, Joseph John. You know, whether it be in politics or business or government or a teacher, a motion picture involvement, a husband, father of two beautiful young daughters, Joe has left his mark on all those that he has touched. Joseph John has been a warrior in his commitment to liberty, our Constitution, the free market, and God. I first met Joe John 46 years ago when I was running for the United States Senate in California. I asked Joe if he would handle San Diego for me, which he did. We didn't win, but it started a friendship that has lasted all this time. We traveled around the world together. After I retired from Congress, we traveled around the world. We went to Taiwan looking for business opportunities. And in the hotels, you remember this, Joe? I had a hotel room, and next to me was your room, and we'd bring these business people in. I'd get their, all their names and addresses, and I'd shuffle them into Joe's room, and he'd find out what kind of business they had. And we came back from that trip with all kinds of opportunities. We stopped in Bangkok on our way to Saudi Arabia, where we had lunch with a Bedouin king. Bedouin king, not the big king, but the king of the Bedouins. And then we watched a camel race. We had a great trip, Joe, and together, along with actress Connie Stevens, we started Combat Veterans for Congress. I respect Joe's friendship over these years. Whenever I had a problem, I didn't hesitate to ask Joe for a little help, and he was always there. We worked together, and we played together. Joe is, well, he's humble, he's soft-spoken, he's a real caring, he's got a big heart for lesser people. He's a warrior patriot who served his country in the Navy for over 30 years. But Joe's best friends are his two beautiful daughters, Jessica and Jennifer. Now, I'm going to leave it at that, and you're going to hear from them a little bit later. But tonight, we've come together to honor our wonderful warriors. You represent the very spirit of bravery, courage, sacrifice, dedication that defines the very spirit of our nation. And in that respect, I've got to recognize General Mike McNeil, who's here with us tonight. Mike, thank you, sir. You are an inspiration and a leader that we all admire and respect, and thank you for honoring Joe John by your presence. I am a religious man. I believe in a higher power. And if I may say a prayer tonight, right now, may we lift our voices. Dear Lord, we give thanks for the courage and dedication of our wounded warriors. Heal their bodies, renew their spirits, and flood their lives with peace. Let them always feel the strength of your presence and the pride of a grateful nation. Let them find rest from their burdens and renewed hope for the future. Amen. Speaking of God, there were 4 men, elderly men, and a woman sipping tea in St. Peter's Square. They were bragging about their sons. The first son said, oh, my son is a priest. And every time he comes into the office or comes into the parish, they say, your father. And the second gentleman said, well, that's nice, but my son's a bishop. And every time he comes in, they all say, your grace. And the third gentleman said, well, that's awfully nice, but my son's a cardinal. And every time he comes in the room, they all say, and bow their heads, your highness. Well, the fourth gentleman said, I got you all beat. My son is the Pope. And every time he comes in the room, they say, and they bow their head, your holiness. Well, this woman was sitting there watching these old guys talk about their sons. And she said, you know something, gentlemen? I don't have a son, but I've got a daughter. And she is gorgeous. She is beautiful. She is amazing to look at. And every time she comes into the room, everybody says, oh my God. You know, we are fortunate to live in America. It was founded on an ideal of freedom. One of the greatest miracles is ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Which reminds me of my great-great-grandfather, Big Mike Goldwater, a Jewish peddler who came across the Atlantic Ocean, across the area where the Panama Canal is, and got a paddle wheel up to the west coast, up to San Francisco, where he got a mule and a wagon, and went to the gold fields and went broke. He went to San Francisco and went broke. He went to Los Angeles. And from Los Angeles, in partnership with another Jewish gentleman, he loaded his wagon full of clothing and pots and pans, and out across the hot, burning, snake-infested warrior Indians, he traveled across that desert to Prescott, Arizona. That wagon and that mule turned into a regional department store. His son, Morris, was mayor of Prescott for 20 years. He brought the telegraph to Prescott. He was part of the Constitutional Convention. He served in the territorial legislature. Big Mike's great-great-grandson became a United States Senator and ran for President of the United States. And his great-great-grandson became a member of Congress from California, and that's me. I served with my father. You know, back up, all my life, I admired and respected my father, and I always wanted to be in business with him. And I could see the sign over the store, Goldwater and Son. I didn't realize I'd have to go all the way to Congress to fulfill that desire and that wish. And I served with him together for 14 years. One of the few times that that happens in Congress. You know, our freedoms are constantly always being challenged, just as they were back under our President George Washington. It was a classic struggle back then. It was Hamilton versus Jefferson. Hamilton felt that a centralized government was more efficient, but Jefferson felt that government should be out with the people. That classic struggle continues today. It's Hamilton versus Jefferson. It's Milton Friedman versus John Maynard Keynes. It's the New York Times versus the Wall Street Journal. It's MSNBC versus Fox versus Newsmax. It's the left versus the right. It's Republican versus Democrat. That classic struggle continues today. It keeps going back and forth. But in the end, our freedoms prevail. This is a great nation that we are so proud to serve. Because of many reasons, today we're an angry nation. That anger does not contribute to civil discussion. It could very well destroy the very freedoms that we love. When I was in Congress in 1968, to 1984, Speaker Tip O'Neill, who was a liberal, fiercely partisan Democrat, Irish Democrat from Boston, was the speaker. But Tip O'Neill realized that if he didn't allow the minority, which I served, I was in a minority for 14 years. If he didn't allow the minority a voice, democracy was not really working. So we had an opportunity to participate in creating policy. And we would fight in committees left and right. But after it was all over, because we were able to have a participation and a voice, the Republicans and Democrats got along. We go down and play basketball or go out and have a drink. And that kind of atmosphere existed back there, and it could actually exist again. Anger is not a solution. Life only works when we get along and respect each other's opinions. When we talk about issues and not personalities, I remember Ronald Reagan's admonition about the 11th Amendment: "Thou shalt not speak ill of any fellow Republican." We must learn really today to like each other and try to respect each other's opinion. Charles Plumb was a Navy fighter pilot who flew 74 missions over North Vietnam, and on his last mission he was shot down and served 7 years as a POW. After he was released, he was home and he lectured about his experience. But he and his wife were in a cafe having tea one day, and a stranger approached Charlie Plumb and says, "Sir, you're Lieutenant Charlie Plumb. You flew off the Kitty Hawk. You were shot down over North Vietnam and served 7 years as a POW." Charlie Plumb was taken back. He said, "How do you know that?" And the young fellow says, "Well, sir, I packed your parachute. And it must have worked." And Charlie Plumb said, "Well, it did work, or I wouldn't be here talking to you today." You know, later on, when Charlie Plumb was home and quiet, he started thinking about this young sailor, how he must have seen him on the boat, but never said anything. Because this was just a young sailor with his bell bottoms, his white hat, and his bib. And after all, I was just a fighter pilot. We never talked. But Charlie Plumb, thinking about this fellow, down deep in the bowels of the aircraft carrier, working over this long wood table, working on this parachute, how he'd pull the shrouds to make them tight, and folding the silks just perfect, and rolling them into and packing them into a parachute for somebody he did not know and whose life he could be saving. It's interesting how we go through life. Each of us probably have had such an incident of somebody packing our parachute. Sometimes we miss an opportunity to forget to recognize that person and say something nice. Every day someone in our life does things for us and we fail to say thank you. Say I love you, hug our children, give a compliment or give a high five, or just do something nice for no reason at all. Today, however, we really need to tone down and start being civil again. Learn to listen. Learn to appreciate other people's opinion. Be tolerant. Be loving. Recognize the good in each other. We are all blessed to live in this great country. We should go through each day and recognize those who packed our parachute. And with that thought, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to address you today. We've got to begin to like ourselves, be happy, love deeply, enjoy life. This will be a good day. You may have self-doubts, maybe, but God thinks you are a work of art. All of you, each of you are in a position of influence and leadership. We need to go to work. You and I are ordinary people, but together we will do extraordinary things. Thank you. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce two young ladies who have watched out after their father, who've been there all the time, taking care of him. Jennifer, Jessica, come on.
For those of you who don't know us, I'm Jennifer, this is Jessica, we're my dad's twins, Joe John's twins. I'm going to say that we are so proud of my dad and all that he's done for our country and all that he's done to combat the Congress. Jessica wrote a beautiful speech, and when it comes down to it, it's really what we want to say. So I'm just going to stand back and do some interpretive dance. It actually is. My father, one of the most patriotic people I've ever known, is a first-generation American. Son to Hannah Hermes John, born on January 2nd, 1902 in Midyat, Mesopotamia, the area that is now part of Turkey and Iraq. My father has often told the story of his mother's treacherous journey to this country. In the fall of 1915, encouraged by the Turkish government, Muslim Kurdish tribesmen rode out to the hills to massacre Armenian, Assyrian, and Greek Christians. My great-grandfather, Jacob Hermes, was traveling in the United States at the time, so my grandmother, Hannah, was without him when she witnessed the massacre of the people she knew and loved, including relatives, and then watched her mother and her brother starve to death. The Congregational missionaries who rescued what was left of the family gave them safe haven in their church school compound in Mardin. Flying over that compound and protecting them from the Kurdish attacks was the American flag. With the help of the Central Falls Congregational Church, my great-grandfather, Jacob Hermes, sent for his children and relatives, and my grandmother, her sister, and two cousins waited in Marseille until they could enter the U.S. as legal immigrants, arriving in Providence, Rhode Island on May 19, 1921. That same year, my grandmother met my grandfather, Michael John, who had attended her church in Midyat and had lost his entire family in the massacres of 1915. They were wed a short time later and had 5 children, June, Elizabeth, Gloria, Barbara, and my father, Joseph. Both of his parents were very proud to become American citizens. My father has often told me of the wonderful memories of his mother's patriotism. He said that she often sang patriotic songs and told everyone how much she loved America. She always studied voting issues, never missed an opportunity to exercise her right to vote in every election. She communicated with Senator Green, who gave my dad a principal appointment to the U.S. Naval Academy, as well as Senator Pastor, Senator Chaffee, and Senator Pell, ever grateful to be a part of a democratic government that cared to hear from its citizens. My father told me that his mother was the driving force behind encouraging her children and grandchildren to seek college educations, 3 of her 5 children received 6 college degrees, but none made her more proud than my father, who graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy in 1962 and went on to serve his country for over 30 years. My father is a product of his mother. He knows, in a way few do, how lucky he and his family are to live in the United States of America. In my father's long career, he did 3 tours of duty in Vietnam, duty in Operation Desert Storm. I was deployed with Special Operation Forces on 9 worldwide counter-terrorist operations. He was awarded 21 medals for operations in Vietnam, the Philippines, and Kuwait during Operation Desert Storm and in operations in the Middle East. 5 meritorious service medals by the U.S. President for great strategic service to the United States, as well as the Battle E ribbon, Navy Marine Corps Overseas Service Deployment Ribbon, and the Surface Warfare Officer Insignia. In 2013, my family and I worked with the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial in La Jolla to secure a plaque dedication to memorialize my father's 30 years of honorable service in the U.S. Navy. His plaque is now enshrined among the plaques of other heroic military figures who defended the nation in every conflict in U.S. history. My father taught me to love this country too. I remember dying to be chosen to pick the morning song in elementary school so I could choose one of the patriotic songs my father had taught me. Today, along with emails he sends me reminding me about the dangers of Diet Coke, funny dog videos that he knows I love, and something about John Wayne or Frank Sinatra, the emails he sends have titles such as "Celebrate the 240th Independence Day on this 4th of July with a story about the origin of the Star-Spangled Banner. Display the American flag on Flag Day, June 14th, and every day." Or on Veterans Day and every day, Americans thank veterans for their service and defense of the Republic. My father's years of dedication to the Combat Veterans for Congress has been his final love letter to our country. I often wake at 6 a.m. to see an op-ed sent out at 3 a.m. Go to sleep has become our new term of endearment to one another. Go to sleep, Dad. I know he will miss this work, but I am grateful that he will finally be able to get some real rest. One final note about my grandmother. On September 15th, 1984, my grandmother, Hannah Hermes John, passed away. Following her passing, Senator Barry Goldwater of Arizona eulogized Hannah Hermes John in the well of the United States Senate. And the record of Senator Goldwater's eulogy of Hannah Hermes John is listed in the 99th Congressional Record of September 12th, 1985. Of all the wonderful awards and honors my father has received, I believe this is one of the things he cherishes the most. I feel certain that Grandma is looking down on you, Dad, proud of all that you've accomplished and your dedication to the country she loved so much. I'm proud of you too, and I love you.
This plaque was given to my father from me and my sister. It says Combat Veterans for Congress, presented to Captain Joseph R. John, co-founder, chairman, and director from 2009 to 2025, in recognition of your leadership and unwavering dedication to a government committed to preserving and defending the U.S. Constitution and the United States of America. 42 endorsed Combat Veterans for Congress, elected over 14 years.
The best thing that ever happened to me was to have these 2 daughters. Today I stand before you to retire. As chairman of the extraordinary organization, I am filled with a deep sense of gratitude, pride, and hope for the future. Our mission is to elect combat veterans to Congress. That mission was born from the conviction that those who have defended our freedoms on the battlefield are uniquely qualified to influence the freedoms in the halls of Congress. Together we have forged a legacy that transcends the battlefield and brings the unyielding spirit of service into every legislative decision today. If you look at the chairman of various committees in Congress, you'll see they're all endorse combat veterans for Congress. We've really done quite a job in the last 16 years. For 16 years, I have had the honor of leading our mission to elect combat veterans to Congress, alongside men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces of unwavering courage and commitment. Every campaign we undertook, every 2 years we had a campaign. Sometimes there was a presidential campaign in between, but every 2 years for 16 years, every victory we celebrated was more than an election win. It was a reaffirmation of duty, honor, and sacrifice, all the values that we believe in, not only for the front lines, but also in the core of our nation's governance. I'm proud that our efforts have gifted veterans the chance to bring their firsthand experience to the conversations that shape the policies affecting our nation and our lives. Our success was never achieved at the achievement of one person alone. It was the strength of many, states bound by a common purpose. I extend my heartfelt thanks to every one of you, our supporters, friends, and fellow veterans, whose relentless strive for the love of country and justice has driven this organization forward. The dedication and resilience has been the pillars upon which our movement for and in support of elected combat veterans who were elected to Congress help build our nation. As I transition from this role, I do so with confidence and optimism. I am assured that the spirit of the mission of the combat veterans for Congress that we have ignited 16 years ago will continue to flourish under new leadership. Though I retire from this chair, my commitment to our cause remains unwavering. I will always be a staunch advocate for the principles we have always advanced. I look forward to seeing more combat veterans taking their rightful place among our nation's elected representatives in Congress. Let us today not be seen as, let us not today be seen as a farewell, but a celebration of what we have achieved together. Barry Goldwater and I started this organization 16 years ago. I couldn't have done it without Barry Goldwater. He was a strong advocate and continued to help us through all these years. May the legacy of service and sacrifice that defines our organization inspires Lieutenant Colonel Bill Conrad. Bill, where are you? Bill Conrad is a West Point graduate. I won't hold that against him. He's a retired lieutenant colonel with heavy combat experience and a Green Beret officer. And he's replacing me as a chairman. I hope he inspires future generations of combat veterans who dare to lead, to fight not only on the battlefield, but also in the halls of Congress. I appreciate the honor of serving as a chairman of the Combat Veterans for Congress, for trusting me with this vital mission, and for supporting me in endorsing and helping to elect 45 combat veterans to Congress, 6 U.S. senators, and 39 U.S. congressmen. This historic pursuit has never been equaled in the 239-year history of our country. We have contributed to a better, more representative government for America. God bless you all, and God bless America.
I think it's only appropriate to let our new chairman introduce himself. God bless you, brother.
I'm going to keep this real short because you had so many wonderful speakers, but I just want to say a short story. Many and all of you in this room understand that when you take over a command, whether you're a squad leader, team leader in special forces, or a commander of a boat, boats, I guess. I'm not Navy. You want to come into a unit that's maybe needs a lot of work and is failing because you have a great chance to do well. But when you come to a unit that's a star, you got to be scared because you can't mess up. Captain John did an incredible job. Mission two things. Did an incredible job. To follow him is going to be a challenge. It's going to take everyone in this room to continue. It's going to take my West Point brethren to come on and fight too. But it's going to be a tough job to follow in his footsteps. But let me tell you what the worst thing about failure of an organization like this is with Captain John. I'm a West Point grad, and we can't fail as a Navy. Thank you.
And with that, mission accomplished, we've done it. Shall we close in prayer and then continue to serve our nation? Question for someone? Then, yes, please. Please do, Pat. Please. You read my mind.
I tried this time. All right. May the God who is the source of life and flourishing fill you with all joy and peace as you put your hope and trust in him. May you be filled with his Spirit to embrace all that is true, good, right, and beautiful, and in so doing, be a light in this world. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are dismissed. You can do push-ups now if you want to.
Excuse me, everyone. If you could just have a moment of my attention. Any of the centerpieces you guys are welcome to take, please take them home, because otherwise I'm taking them home, and I don't want to do that. So please take them home, and please take the American flag that are on your table and take them home with you. Please make my job easier and take the centerpieces. Thank you so much. Give it a little bit of water, give it a little bit of love. It will last a while. Thank you so much. All the Marines, please come to the front of the podium. They want to have a picture taken. All the Marines to the front of the podium. Thank you. I think I like this job.
I got us on. We're getting on. Come on, ladies. Come on. Come on. Come on. He's going to take a picture of all of us. Too good. Yes. Yes. Come on. Oh. Come on, Nancy. Get in. Come on, Lisa. With that sexy dress. I know. Come on, get in there, Jackie. Stop it. Mr. Hyde. Come on in. Okay. Come on in. I want to show my dress.
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
Come on, ladies, yay!
Perfect, thank you so much.
Say La Jolla, La Jolla. La Jolla, yay! I think it follow us.
Very good. You did change firms, right? You're different. You're different.
Ball.
Watch out, General's coming in. You're all rigged. Get in here, sir.
Big smiles, gentlemen. All right, big smiles. Ready?
All right, smile. All right, everybody, thumbs up.
Smile, boys. 1, 2. All right, looking good.
Yeah. That's outdoing us all.
What is it?
Yeah, we got nothing.
1, 2, 3, Marines.
Hey.
There we go. Thank you guys. Right. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Get out of the way. But that back on the ground.
More along the lines of
King rides a Harley.
Yeah,
wow, very productive.
He does.
Is there a chance I could send this flag back? How you doing? Now I got 2 more flags to send inside. Well, I want to bring it to you. Right now. Living with Mars, I survived that.